Pause for 2 seconds. Do any of these statements sound familiar? You worry too much. You must drag yourself out of the bed every morning and often wake up feeling sad for no obvious reason. You're disposed to making negative predictions. You worry about the worst that could happen in any situation. You take negative feedback very personally. You're your biggest critic. You avoid people more than you should. Anything less than perfection feels like failure. If they do, then there's a chance that you're experiencing some degree of anxiety and/or depression. Unpleasant feelings are a part of our daily lives. They are there to teach us a lesson. Once we've learned our lesson, they often move on, but might come back with another lesson later. As a result of these experiences, you're likely to feel sad and stressed. These are perfectly normal emotions to go through from time to time. Everyone feels low and apprehensive about something or the other at some point in their lives. But when these unpleasant emotions begin to consume you, if they begin to interfere with the very forces that make up your daily life, then we want you to know that you must act. Fortunately, these feelings can be healed. They can be made to shift to a more positive and constructive space, and we are here to help. The Anti-Anxiety Formula course has been created with this especially in mind. We give you a wide range of skills and tools, practice opportunities too, to help manage and overcome your anxiety. This video is filled with questions that help you reflect and find answers for yourself. We urge you to give every practice a try before deciding on the ones that work best for you. On that note, we welcome you to our video titled The Anti-Anxiety Formula. We've had an enriching time creating this video course and hope that experience translates to our readers too. In this video, we'll talk about you and your anxiety, how to overcome your stuck points. Anxiety can creep up on you in many ways, from physical and behavioral symptoms that are obvious to subtler symptoms that mess with your emotional and cognitive state of being. Yet, each time, it can leave behind a somewhat similar and familiar feeling, the feeling of being a little more lost, battered, and alone. No anxious person has the same set of symptoms, which is why each person's anxiety is unique and therefore their individual journey. That said, most people have some of each type of the symptoms, only in different combinations, which makes understanding how it works more appreciable. This chapter focuses on personality concepts that will help you understand how your anxiety works. The multifaceted you. Now, you cannot understand the average anxious person to understand your anxiety. You don't need to either. You need to understand the many dimensions within which you and your anxiety exist. Once you start identifying these dimensions, which are mostly characterized by triggers and symptoms, you'll be able to work around them and in time, overcome them too. Worksheet 1. What do you see? Here's a quick worksheet for you. Do any of these situations sound familiar to you? You dislike change. Every time you are put into a new situation, you feel restless and worried. You overprocess information, decisions, and possibilities before acting. You tend to be pessimistic about the present and future. You constantly dwell into negative past experiences. You worry about everything. You feel awkward when someone compliments you. You also believe they don't mean their compliments or are mocking you in some way. You are your harshest critic. While there is no scoring system here to rate your anxiety, it does help you to understand if you are anxiety prone or not. The more items you check, the more likely you are suffering from anxiety, depression, or both. Understanding your anxiety and what it is doing to you. Anxiety on the inside can affect what you do and how you act on the outside. And so, if you were to observe your mind and body carefully, you might be able to notice some signs, behavioral and physical, that can tell you what your anxiety might be doing to you. For instance, an anxious person might be dealing with several conflicting and apprehensive thoughts. The internal noise and fear that reverberates inside might make them appear tired, withdrawn, and/or nervous. Worksheet 2. What does your behavior say of you? Check off statements that apply to you. I find myself crying for no reason. There are times when I feel empty and can't make myself do what I want to do. I avoid socializing. I avoid risks. I also avoid doing fun stuff because I worry about the possible risk involved. I'm afraid of failure and judgment. I get fidgety. I obsess over the past, worry about the future, and can rarely stay in the present. And about your body? I have no appetite. I'm always hungry. My palms sweat all the time. I can feel nauseous, lightheaded, cold, and shaky when anxious. My heart races when I worry. I feel cold and weak too. I've lost my sex drive. I have very little energy. Again, there is no scoring system to rate your anxiety. The more symptoms you check off, the more likely you are experiencing anxiety. Note, now some of the above symptoms can also result from various other reasons, and so we suggest you consult your primary care physician before making any conclusions. Reflecting upon your triggers and identifying beliefs that are standing in your way. If you could follow an anxious mind, you might see patterns of unfavorable thoughts that keep playing on and off. These thoughts might be triggers to the anxiety itself, and so addressing them is very important. A clinical technique called imagery exposure, used in therapy, can help address the triggers as well as identify their sources. Worksheet 3. Imagery exposure. Sit with yourself and truthfully reflect on any unfavorable thoughts that play in your mind, the thoughts that stop you from concentrating and being in the present, the ones that you want to forget but cannot, and the ones that you might have kept buried and might not necessarily like to share with others. You can also reflect on any worry thoughts, the ones that haven't happened yet, but you fear. Recall the sights and sounds of the situation as if it were happening in front of you, as we speak, in as much detail as you can. Bring the image of the embarrassment, avoidance, worry, fear, hurt, and/or guilt vividly to mind. Deliberate on the image, living the experience thoroughly once. Let the thoughts stay with you until they decide to leave you at their will. Repeat this exercise once every day for as long as you want. As you progress further, you'll begin to see reasons. You'll realize beliefs that have been blocking your path, your stuck points, so to speak. You'll find solutions to overcome the negative outcomes of your triggers. Finally, you'll find peace. This is the start. Now, this is a gradual process and is the first step to addressing your anxiety. Once you know what's causing your anxiety, you can, in time, find ways to manage or overcome it. And this video shows you exactly how to do that. Mindfully moving beyond the beliefs blocking your path. The thing about stuck points is that when we're caught in one, we don't often think about ways to work around them and move forward. We don't shift into problem-solving mode and weigh our options, mostly because we don't know how to and therefore cannot. To be able to solve problems, you must think realistically, coherently, without any chatter. And unfortunately, when anxious, our mind can get tied up in its contemplation wheel and fail to work on more productive and purposeful things. For instance, imagine you have a team deadline to meet, but a member of your team isn't contributing equally. Instead of working yourself up about why he or she isn't doing their bit, it would be more useful to think about ways to help them step up or help reach the immediate deadline. So, you can speak to the member and let them know where they need to step up while suggesting some options to work things out. Give them simpler jobs or a checklist to do every day. Split the work amongst others in the team. Get the job done first and then look at a more permanent way out. Mindfully forcing yourself to look at the possible solutions as opposed to mulling on the problem can help relieve the stress of rumination. Focusing on a constructive solution will shift you to a more positive state of mind, just as achieving the solution will shift you to a state of peace and contentment. Worksheet 4. Recognizing your challenges. Reflect on the one stuck point that is stopping you from moving forward. Define your best 3 realistic solutions. Keep them simple and achievable. Decide what you need to act on them. Decide how long you need to gather these tools. Start working towards these goals. Where to next? At this point, you should pat yourself on the back. You've made progress and are a step closer to understanding and managing your anxiety. The next few chapters discuss aspects that go a little beyond your thoughts. It dwells on areas such as your mind and your body and their role in your anxiety. Take a moment to pause now and then. Stay in the present. This is your reality. Where do you want to be? Okay, let's start preparing for your future. In this video, we'll talk about your mind, your body, how to face your inner demons. If you're watching this video course, you probably experience anxiety in one form or the other, but don't know where those feelings come from. This is completely normal and is a sign that you are ready to understand the origins of your anxiety and ready to work your way around and overcome it. This chapter shows you how to address your mental and physical battles while digging deeper into the source of your anxiety, your inner demons, so to speak. Putting events, emotions, and vibrations together. The confusion and anxiety you feel today could be the result of seeds planted in your past. And so, dwelling into your past, into memories that you perhaps would otherwise like to avoid and forget or have consciously erased from your mind, can help piece together the source of your anxiety. Disclaimer: some of the memories you revisit through the questions put forth in this video may evoke unexpected reactions, and that's completely normal. You may feel slightly uncomfortable, and that's normal too. As unexpected and unpleasant as they can be, they are important as they may lead you to the origins of your problems. That said, if you become overtly overwhelmed, you may stop the exercise and seek professional help. We recommend you also have someone who can have your back. Worksheet 5. Review your world. Many times, people with anxiety know they are experiencing anxious feelings. They can tell you how they feel, but don't know why they feel a way. That's why journaling can be such an important tool to help address and overcome anxiety. Daily, for 2 weeks at least, mindfully observe your thoughts, emotions, and bodily reactions. Ask yourself what is going on when you start noticing your emotions and body signals. Write your experiences when they are fresh. Use feeling words to describe any powerful and/or repetitive emotion. For instance, happy, energetic, nervous, sweaty, tired, dizzy, and so on. Because we want to know the cause of your anxiety, especially note down the feelings that make you feel anxious. Make a note of the situations that led up to it. At the end of the second week, or more if you wish, reflect on the anxious feelings and situations. Compare them to your notes from Worksheet 4. Do you see a pattern? Make a note of your thoughts. Imagining the worst. Life can be rough sometimes. Bad things can happen without a plan and then can leave behind a sense of lasting pain and fear. But sometimes, our mind can fantasize about things that never happened and probably might never happen too. These things can be our biggest fears. We can imagine catastrophic events and jump to the worst possible conclusions with no reason or logic. And so, by doing that repeatedly, you live the experience that many times, because your mind and body might not be able to differentiate real from the imaginary world. Self-blame, self-loathe, all of it. Rachel suffers from constant worry and anxiety. Some, she says, are the result of the busy life she leads. She wakes up at 5 a.m. every day, travels an hour to reach work, is constantly rushing through meetings and deadlines, takes another hour to reach home at 8 p.m., cooks and finishes her dinner, prepares for the next day before she can go to sleep at 11 p.m. Sometimes things get rough. Her anxiety kicks in as a result of her worst imagination. Here's how she says her mind plays out events when that happens. As a result, she blames and hates herself. My throat hurts. I think I can feel a bump. What if it's cancer? Am I going to die? What will happen to my family once I'm gone? Will they miss me? I remember a bad traumatic experience and replay that event repeatedly, imagining if it's happening again. Sometimes, I imagine it being worse too, and my responses are very real. I see a group of people giggling in front of me. Are they laughing at me? Is it my dress? Do I look okay? Did I do something odd or funny? I need to get out of here. Why do people always make fun of me? I don't deserve this. Nobody likes me. I'm hopeless. My manager didn't greet me as usual. I wonder if he or she is upset about my work. What if I get fired? What about my bills? Why can't I do anything right? Why am I never good enough? I hate myself. Worksheet 6. Living your biggest fears. This time with reason. Decide to live your biggest fears once again, this time more mindfully. Take one fear at a time, and if there are many, then move over to the next fear only after you've completely made peace with the previous one. Sure, this might take time, but the positive effects can last a lifetime. So, don't rush. Again, decide whether you want to have someone around to watch your back. Sit with yourself when you're feeling most secure and comfortable. Remind yourself that what you are going to experience isn't real. Remind yourself to disconnect from emotional trauma you are knowingly going to put yourself through. Remind yourself of the purpose of this exercise. You want to dig deeper into your fears and understand what you are learning from it is. Once you recognize this, you can work on the learning and the suffering will gradually decrease. And when you're ready, go through the experience, your biggest fears, the worst possible situations, your inner demons, so to speak. What is it that keeps troubling you? Why do you keep inviting this experience into your life? Is there a lesson? What's the worst possible? Okay, that happened. Can it get worse? Imagine that too. Live the experience all the time, telling yourself that this isn't real and isn't happening now. Again, when you're ready, bring yourself back to the present and reflect on your thoughts and emotions. Write them down when you are ready. Repeat this exercise whenever you are ready for it and until the time you've made peace with the fear and can move on. The best way to gain perspective is to mindfully talk to yourself as you experience the rush of fantasized images. Now that you know that that can happen, the next time you catch yourself doing something like that, tell yourself, this isn't real and it's not happening now. Whatever happens, I can cope. I am going to stop causing my suffering. I am doing great. I've got this. I love myself. I feel great. Connecting them with your mind and body. Remember, you can manage and even overcome your anxiety by learning to feel better with introspection. Ask yourself as many questions about your anxiety. Persist because deep down, you have and know the answers. Observe your relationship with your feelings, thoughts, and your body's responses to them. Track them and talk yourself to a better, calmer, and panic-free state of mind. Yes, you can. Worksheet 7. Talking yourself out of anxiety. Each day, record events that made you anxious. Elaborate and specify the event as well as your thoughts and bodily reactions to it. Use feeling words to describe your emotions. Go through the experience and decide to make peace with it. Keep telling yourself that the present is great and the future will be even better. Work on your feelings. Talk to yourself. Gather support from others if you want to. At the end of every week, look back on your tracker and evaluate your progress. How are you feeling? As you work through the exercises presented in this video, you should become more aware of your anxiety, the reasons for it, as well as how your body reacts to events in your life. The more knowledge you gain, the better you can understand and manage your anxiety. So, keep at it.